We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides.
If it feels like the future of America hangs on the results of the Virginia gubernatorial race between Democrat Terry McAuliffe and Republican Glenn Youngkin, well, that's at least half right. After McAuliffe drafted in every big name to stump for him, this election now appears to have become an intimate referendum on the state of the Biden administration. Polls show a dead even split or thereabouts, but have politicos made a huge mistake in attaching their legacy to a single contest? Well, to figure this out, we're joined by Liberty Nation Editor-in-Chief Lisa K. Dunner, who just so happens to not only be a fount of knowledge on all things political, but also a resident of the Virginia Commonwealth. Welcome back to the show, Lisa.
Good to be here, Mark.
So it's great to have you on. I've got to ask the first thing. What's happening in Fairfax County, Virginia?
Well, there's a little bit of controversy going on in Fairfax County. In fact, we were the first to be on the story. And by way of disclosure, the organization who has filed suit against the Fairfax County Board of Elections is the Virginia Institute for Public Policy, whose president sits on the board of directors of our parent organization. But what VIPP found, and they have filed suit through the Public Interest Legal Foundation, PILF, and they're the ones that have filed suit. But basically, let me tell you what they found. They found that Virginia's Fairfax County elections, and I'm taking this from Scott Cosenza's article, which was exclusive to us, this interview. They voted officials are violating state law in issuing absentee ballots. Election officials are accused of dispensing ballots in blatant violation of identification requirements. So basically what they're doing, Mark, is if you request a ballot online or not in person, you're supposed to give the last 4 digits of your social. Well, they're not requiring that. Now, over in Loudoun County, where all the big school issues are going on, they require it. The whole state has to require it. It's state law. It's in the Virginia Constitution.
Yeah, so Liberty Nation's been keeping a very, very close eye on this. You can check out the copy there on site. Now, tell me, why has Joe Biden hitched his wagon so securely to the Virginia gubernatorial? Is this a question of distracting the masses from the other notable failures and issues of his administration?
Well, he's clearly trying to make this a referendum on Trump again. Just the other day, he mentioned Trump's name in a speech for McAuliffe 24 times, right? And I think the reason they're trying to make Glenn Youngkin, the Republican running for governor, out to be a Trumpist is because that's the only way they can kind of get their base going again. They need to get out the vote, and it's very tight, Mark. It's a very tight race.
Yeah, if they make this a referendum on Trump, then they have all to gain by going into the 2022 midterms. They can say, as you can see, not only was Trump rejected in the 2020 election, he's been rejected again in the first test of the electorate after the election. So what are the numbers telling us at the moment, Lisa?
Well, the Real Clear Politics average, and I looked at it this morning, and I have it right here. The spread is 0.8 for McAuliffe, and all the polls have McAuliffe up by 1 or more, except for the University of Mary Washington poll. I don't know much about that. But the one poll that I do know a lot about is the Trafalgar Group, and that's a pretty good poll. Trafalgar has a 95% confidence in their polls, and they tend to be right. And they have the race between Youngkin and McAuliffe as a dead tie. So that shows you how close it is.
Yeah, I think in reality, anything below a 3-point win for McAuliffe will be considered a loss across the country and pretty much a rejection of the Biden administration, I think. Now, we've seen in Virginia specifically, we've seen education and specifically school boards in the region making national news on a daily basis. Do you think this is what's going to motivate voters, or is it the increasingly damaged economy and the inflation that will send folks to the polls?
Well, if you look at the demographics, the people that gave Hillary Clinton won Virginia by 5 points and Biden won it by 10. And the people that really crossed over were those suburban women, the women in Fairfax County and in Loudoun County. And of course, Loudoun County has made national news with their uproarious school board meetings and resignations and parent upset and It's just a holy mess over there. So the county just to my west, Loudoun County and Fairfax County, are the mother lodes. Those are the big counties in Virginia. And school issues are really hot here. And if those suburban women change their tune, that's good news for Glenn Youngkin.
So give us the inside skinny. What's happening on the ground in Old Dominion? Are you seeing lawn signs? Lawn signs, they're a great indicator.
Yeah, lawn signs really are a great indicator, surprisingly. There are a lot of McAuliffe signs and there are a lot of Youngkin signs. And I've actually driven through Loudoun and Fairfax and tried to get a gauge, and it's 50-50, you know? A lot of people, I've talked to a lot of Republicans here in Fairfax County, they all think Youngkin's going to pull it out. My husband thinks Youngkin's going to pull it out. Personally, I hate to be Debbie Downer here, but I think McAuliffe might pull it out.
It's certainly possible. He has had every Democrat who's not in prison or out of favor come to stump for him. That's quite the troop, although not as it would be.
Not to interrupt, but if you don't require people to have the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, you know as well as I do, the people without Social Security numbers are
not legal to vote in the United States of America.
Exactly. But if they can get their hands on a ballot and vote, you know, I think that's why this whole case by Virginia Institute for Public Policy is so interesting.
So all this talk of schools and curricula and of parental input into what the children are being taught, it seems to me that whatever is the final result of the election, whether McAuliffe inches it or Youngkin makes a surprise win, the genie is already out of the bottle. The idea that concerned parents shouldn't have a say in the content and material being taught to their offspring is this toothpaste that, regardless of the results, this is toothpaste that just can't be put back in the tube, right?
Right. Well, here in America, we call it toothpaste. But anyway, Mark.
What did I call it?
Toothpaste, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyway, make no mistake about it. If Glenn Youngkin pulls this race out, that's going to be a big upset. And I think that's why the Democrats are pulling out Obama and Jill and Joe and, you know, everybody out of the kitchen sink at the last minute. Though I'm not really sure what good Biden will do for them, considering his numbers in the polls have been sinking so rapidly. But, you know, if Youngkin does topple the expected Virginia blue, which has come to happen, you know, more and more recently. I've lived here for 30 years. It was a red state when I first moved here. Actually, 35 years ago, it was a red state. And then it turned purple, and now it's been blue for a while. So if Virginia does go red with its governor, and again, keep in mind, the Commonwealth only permits 1 term for governor or a non-consecutive term, which is why McAuliffe gets to run again. But if he does, you know, that's going to be a big deal on the national level.
Well, a rising tide lifts all ships, but a sinking president can drag anybody else down with him he wants. Lisa K. Donna, thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Mark.
Coming up on the show, we're looking at a new law that coerces you to get involved if you witness a crime. But next up, Andrew Moran's joining us to see just how far the administration is willing to go to get your hard-earned dollars from your pocket into theirs. Don't touch that dial. You're listening to Liberty Nation Radio, heard across the Radio America network from our flagship station in the nation's capital, WWRC, in Washington, D.C. I just want to say thanks to you for listening and give a special shout out to those of you on KBKW 103.5 FM, the talk of Grays Harbor, Washington. We dismiss history at our peril.
Liberty Nation Radio with Mark Angelides. Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.